This is the May 14th strategy clinic. We have Kathy receiving with Pat, and on the opposite side we have Judy serving, playing with BA. Judy serving to Pat. Nice deep serve. Notice how Pat had to go wide in order to get to the ball, and her partner Kathy really should have moved towards the center line in order to decrease the gap that's between the two of them. Because Pat moved out to the side, look at the big gap that was created. Pat returns the ball to BA. Now, since BA is on the serving team, she should hit a 3-shot drop here. 3rd shot drop here. Pat manages to get back into position very quickly. BA hits the ball. And it is a drop shot, which is good. That keeps Pat from attacking it, so Pat has to volley the ball up. But it's not high enough for Judy to attack, so Judy has to hit a drop shot here. But she hits it right at Kathy. Kathy gets jammed, and the ball hits the bottom of her paddle near where she grips it. And she manages to get it back. Judy plays another drop shot here. Now Kathy's going to come in. She should hit a drop shot here as well because it's still below the level of the net. Very good. Judy again tries a drop shot. Pat shows good form here. Notice how her paddle is in front of her. Hits the ball between both of them. BA is able to volley the ball rather than let it bounce. But she puts it a little too high, so Pat's going to try and attack here. But the ball drops on her, so she plays a volley, short volley instead. Goes back to BA. BA comes across back at Kathy. Kathy probably should have hit a backhand here, but instead she tried to move sideways to play a forehand and was not able to hit the ball on the center for paddle, so it went into the net. Here we have Pat serving the ball. BA returning the ball. Hits it down the line to Kathy. It's a good return. It's towards the back. Notice how Pat's moving to the kitchen line because Kathy's the one hitting the ball. BA should have moved up towards the kitchen line after she hit the ball, but she stayed back, so now she's hitting a backhand in between both of them, and neither one got the ball, and it was a winner. So what should have happened here? Pat goes up to the line, good. Kathy moves up to the line, good. But notice where Kathy stopped. Neither one of them got all the way to the kitchen line, and it's still a pretty big gap between Kathy and Pat. So in this case, because Pat was already moving to the line first, once she established her position, Kathy should key off of where Pat is and shorten the gap that's between the two of them. Plus, once the ball comes in between the two of them, Kathy, being on the forehand side, should take priority and go after that ball. But in this case, neither one did. Okay, on this next point, BA serving to Pat. She hits a nice serve. Notice how Pat moved to her left in order to take this on her forehand side. So that's a good move. And BA hit an excellent serve deep to her. Pat returns and moves up to the kitchen line. Judy plays the ball and decides to lob, which can be a good play. Notice Kathy backed off from the kitchen line. So that allowed the ball to drop in front of her. I think the better play would have been, once the ball went up in the air, Kathy should have stayed at the kitchen line, and then she had an opportunity to hit a put away with her forehand. But she backed off, and now the ball's coming to her left side, and she would have to hit a backhand. But it jammed her, so she ended up missing the ball. I want to just go back on this part here where BA served the ball. So notice how BA hit a really good serve. Now watch BA and Judy. Both of them are staying behind the baseline, waiting until they see what Pat does with her return. So that's a good practice. Here we have Judy serving to Pat. It's a nice deep serve. Pat returns, goes to BA. BA goes up with the ball, giving Pat a chance for an overhead. But notice how the paddle face is facing up. So when Pat makes contact, instead of the ball going downward, the ball goes up. And BA goes after the ball, but can't quite get her paddle on it, and the ball goes into the net, or out of bounds. And Pat breathes a sigh of relief. So in doubles, it's important to have a good partnership. So whatever you can do to keep positive. You have an example here of Pat pumping things up. Said, "Let's go, Kathy." Serving to Judy. Judy hits a high ball up, and it doesn't make it over the net. On this next point, we have Pat serving to BA. Okay, it's a little bit short. BA comes in, takes advantage of it, and hits a really good return deep, forcing Pat to back up a little bit. Kathy moves up to the kitchen line, which is good. BA comes forward, but doesn't quite get to the kitchen line. She's about 3 feet short of the kitchen line. I would have much preferred having her right at the kitchen line, and that would have also closed the gap between her and Judy. You see that there is a little bit of a gap. But she hit a nice return, and Pat's not able to handle it with her backhand. It goes into the net, and they win the point. Okay, Kathy here serving to Judy. It's a good serve. Lands fairly deep. Judy returns with a forehand. And it looks like it's a nice deep return as well. It's causing Kathy to move backwards and is unable to return it over the net. So that was a really good return by Judy. On this next point, we have Kathy serving to BA. It looks like a little bit of a short serve. BA hits a backhand return. Nice shot. Both Pat and Kathy start moving up. Kathy gets to the ball. And they move up together. But the ball is a little bit high, so Judy spots it and goes right in between. And nobody can get a paddle on it, so it's a winner. Here we have BA serving the ball. And she hits a nice deep serve, good. Kathy returns, moves up towards the kitchen line. BA should hit a third shot drop here, but she gets it a little bit high. But this is good positioning by Pat and Kathy. You can see both of them are all the way up at the kitchen line. Judy, however, is back by the baseline, and BA is in no man's land, so they're definitely in a defensive position right now. Pat has a high ball to her forehand. Hits it back. It falls short. And, yep, bounces twice before Judy can get to it, so Pat gets the win on this one. Here we have Judy serving the ball to Pat. Okay, good serve. Pat returns it. Now notice here that Pat's actually hitting the ball slightly behind her. So it would have been better if she could have gotten her paddle out in front of her, making that same shot. Because you notice that it's not a solid return. The ball actually squirts off her paddle a little bit and goes up. All right, so let me back it up here. So here's the serve. Judy and BA are waiting for that second shot. Now BA hits a flat shot, but she gets it up high to Kathy, who has a chance to hit a mini overhead. She hits it downwards. Judy has a chance to get the ball back up, but she puts it up high. Kathy once again has another shot. This time she snaps her wrist a little bit and it goes past Judy for a winner. So if you don't get it on the first try, go for it on the second try. Main thing is to keep them on the defensive. Here we have BA serving to Kathy. BA hits a really nice serve. Look at that, how close it lands to the baseline. Kathy returns back. Both BA and Judy are waiting by the baseline. Kathy's return lands a little bit short, so Judy's choosing to attack the ball rather than hit the third shot drop. And hits it right at Kathy. And the ball lands out. So what happened here was Kathy was trying to get to the kitchen line, which is good, but once she sees that it was a short ball and Judy is about to hit the ball right here, Kathy should come to a stop and be in the ready position, so if the ball comes at her, she'll be ready to do whatever she needs to hit it back. But her momentum is still moving forward, and it ends up jamming her. Okay? So you have to be careful that if you hit a short return, the serving team may be hitting a passing shot rather than a third shot drop. And if you're still moving in, you're not going to have enough time to react. And here we have Coach Yi. I believe he's going to reinforce what I just said. Here he is shuffling up to where Kathy should have stopped. Ready position. Make the shot, and then continue to move up to the kitchen line. Okay, we have Judy serving to Pat. It's a nice serve. Looks like it's coming a little bit deep here, which is good. Pat is hitting a forehand. So one thing I would suggest here, watch how Pat's hitting the forehand. She's in a ready position, has the paddle in front of her, which is good. Here comes the ball. Ball's coming. Pat knows she's going to hit a forehand, but where's the paddle? The paddle is still in front of her. And the ball's coming, and it's bouncing. And right at this point is where Pat starts to bring the paddle back. Once she saw that the ball was coming to her forehand, it would have been better to bring the paddle back sooner. So once the ball lands, she's ready to come forward and hit the ball in front of her. But because she waited until the ball bounced, now she's bringing the paddle back while the ball's coming towards her, and she ends up hitting it a little late. You see, it's almost behind her by the time she makes contact. And also, if you notice, her wrist is already extended. A better shot would be to have the wrist still folded or cocked, and then she would have a more solid hit with her follow-through. But because she was a little late, it was more like a slap on the ball, and the ball went up. And gave Judy an opportunity to attack it, but she didn't give enough room over the net and ended up losing the point here. So one thing to note, look at where Kathy is, look at where Pat is. Pat's moving up to the line. Both see that Judy is probably going to hit between the two of them, and look at the gap between the two of them. They are really actually in a good position. they could hit a forehand or a backhand and still cover the ball. But because it went into the net, they didn't have to worry about it. Okay, BA serving the ball here. Kathy. She gets a really nice deep ball. Look at where it's bouncing. Look how far back Kathy is in order to hit the ball. So it's going to be tough for Kathy to get up to the kitchen line, having to start so far back. So let's look at where her ball's landing. The ball's landing short, just past the kitchen line. So BA here is going to attack it rather than hit her third shot drop. She hits her patented backhand. And Pat makes a stab for it, but isn't able to get it, and ball goes out of play. Okay, now we have Judy about to serve. She hits a high, deep ball, but it's landing out of bounds, to the side, out of bounds. So let's go back and watch how she's actually serving here. Okay, if you notice how the paddle face is under the ball, which is fine, but as she's hitting, she's lifting the paddle up, and the face is facing towards the sky, straight up, and actually is kind of moving to her right, and the ball is squirting off to the left. So I think here I would say, once you start the paddle swinging, Judy, keep it moving in the same direction where you want the ball to go to. Right here, it kind of like sliced off your paddle. See? Because your paddle ended up to the right side of your body instead of coming across to your left side. So the ball ended up slicing a bit. And ultimately landed wide. Well, as I played this video forward more, it looks like even the ball, though the ball landed wide, Pat must have said play it, because she played the ball back and play continued. Or she was just very generous with the call. So let's see what happens here. Judy, it's a backhand. Gets it a little bit high, but Pat chooses just to volley it safely. Down, comes down, Judy has to let it bounce. She changes direction, hits it right at Kathy. Kathy gets jammed a little bit, but she manages to pop it back over the net. Judy hits it right back to Kathy again. Kathy keeps the ball in play, but she has to pop it up. Here's the chance for Judy to put the ball away. And she hits it down. Pat puts her paddle in front of it, scoops it up, and I think it went in for a winner there. Let's back it up and just check this out here. Well, I don't know. I can't really tell. It may have been out. But it was a good sequence. Here we have BA serving the ball to Kathy. Okay. Kathy returns it back, starts moving up to the kitchen line. It's very good. BA chooses to hit a ground stroke rather than a drop shot. Hits it right at Pat. Pat volleys it back to BA at her feet, which is good. BA once again tries to hit a ground stroke, but puts it up high, giving Kathy a chance for a put away. So I think she slightly mishit it, because if you watch, I think she meant to hit it in the gap, because that's the way her paddle's facing, but she turned her paddle a little bit right at contact, so the ball ended up going to the left, but it came down. Judy now has an opportunity to play the ball. She runs over, gets to the ball, hits it up right back at Kathy. Kathy scoops the ball up, but I believe, yep, it went a little too long. So on this play, I think, since Judy is so close and she's hitting the ball a little bit hard at Kathy, it would have been better if Kathy just held her paddle in front of her and let the shot rebound off the paddle. But because she tried to help it a little with a swing right there, it was too much and the ball went out of bounds. So same situation, don't try to swing, just try to block the ball. Okay, we have Judy here serving to Pat. She hits a nice high serve, which comes, look at that, nice deep serve right by the sideline. Pat makes a good return back. Judy comes up to play the ball. She should try for a third shot drop here, which she does, but I think she mishit it slightly, so it did not make it over the net. But if you notice that when Pat returned her shot, it was fairly high, so when it bounced, it actually came up above the level of the net. Right, so you can see where that ball is right there. Look how high it is. So it would have been okay if Judy chose to go for a passing shot rather than a drop shot, because actually it was it's harder to hit a drop shot when the ball is high. What would have been better is if she, once the ball bounced that high, if she still wanted to hit a drop shot, she should have let the ball come back down below the level of the net and then hit a regular drop shot. but because she tried to hit a drop shot while the ball was still fairly high, it's very difficult to do. And it ended up landing short. So in this case, probably better just put the ball away. Okay, here we have BA serving to Kathy. Really nice serve, lands deep. Kathy has to play it from behind the baseline. She returns it back, moves up to the kitchen. Judy tries to hit a drop shot, but I think it just got a little bit high. Kathy decides to let it bounce and play a backhand. Goes cross court to BA. Actually, a pretty good shot. BA returns it back with her own backhand. Okay, now notice the paddle position for Kathy. It's behind her. Remember, when you're up at the kitchen, you want to keep that paddle in front of you. So now she has to spend time getting the paddle back into position in front of her. And what ends up happening is she pops the ball up a little bit. So if Kathy had kept the paddle in front of her, she could have hit a volley, a low volley back, instead of popping it up. So Judy's got an overhead backhand, which is a difficult shot, but she takes a stab at it. Pat comes across to intercept it, but notice her face is open, facing the sky, so she ends up popping it up. Gives BA a chance to put it away now. But notice that both Judy and BA, they're 3 feet away from the kitchen. So this makes it a little more difficult to put the ball away because they're farther back. So BA takes a swing at it. She hits it down, which is good. It forces Pat to come up with the ball and up high again. BA gets another chance, but it's over her head, and I think it went out. Based on Pat's reaction, I think it did go out. Okay, we have Judy serving here. And in this case, the ball is out. So I think, once again, let's just watch her paddle face as she's hitting that serve. Oh, actually, I noticed one thing here too. She's hitting a drop serve, which means she should be holding her arm, her left arm, outstretched with the ball facing down and just releasing the ball. But instead, she's putting the paddle on the ball, and then she's moving both arms up, then down. Now she lets go of the ball, and it drops. So that's really probably not legal, because you're supposed to just let the ball drop. You're not supposed to move your arm. Okay, so here she's going to hit the ball. Paddles below the ball, which is good. It's just coming through. But look at the face of her paddle. It's just straight up to the sky instead of going along the path where she wants the ball to go. So because she's going straight up, the ball is also going straight up and ends up landing out. So that's the point here. If you're going to serve, your paddle should be tracing a path towards your intended target. Here we have BA serving, and I think in one of the prior lessons I was telling BA that when she was using her drop serve, it was actually not legal because she was tossing the ball up rather than letting it go to drop down. So she converted back to hitting a volley serve where it doesn't bounce. So here she's hitting a volley serve, and look at where this ball lands. Can't get much better than that. And look how far back Kathy is in order to make the return. And her return actually goes into the net, so easy point for BA. Okay, we did a little player rotation. So now it looks like we have Kathy serving to BA. Or maybe it was just a side change. Very nice serve. Close to the sideline and deep. BA makes a forehand. Very good forehand. Starts moving up. Pat's moving up to play the ball. BA is in no man's land, so she has to be careful. It's a backhand. Looks pretty good. Pat volleys the ball back to BA. BA has to play it off the bounce again. She put the ball up a little bit high, but looks like Pat has to let it drop. So actually, once this happened, this was the opportunity for BA to move up to the kitchen line. Right? So let's take a look at that. So BA plays the ball. It's kind of like a drop shot. So right here is the drop shot. So right here is the opportunity for BA to move up to the kitchen line. But she stayed in no man's land, so now she's kind of out of position. Pat hits the ball again at her feet. She puts it up. Now Pat has a chance for an overhead. She hits it kind of high. Judy has a chance for an overhead. It hits at Kathy's feet, so Kathy puts it up, but she puts it up high. BA has a chance now for an overhead, but it went over her paddle, landed in, and they lost a point. So the thing here is, notice how many times the ball was up high. Starting, I think, up here, high, that was down, that was good. That came up high, and then a winner. Okay, we have Pat here serving to Judy. Nice deep serve, good. Judy hits a forehand back, starts moving up. BA slides more to the center. Judy comes in. BA decides to take the shot with their backhand. Kathy plays it off the bounce. Gets it a little bit too high. Judy has a chance for put away. She snaps the ball down, which is good. But notice, that Kathy, being on the defense, has been staying back. That's the proper way. If your opponent's pounding the balls, you want to be back and try to take the ball on a bounce. And if you can hit a lob or drop shot, that'll get you time to get to the kitchen. In this case, it was a lob, and it landed in. Very well done. Okay, on this serve, we have Kathy serving to BA. Now, you notice where BA is standing. I would recommend for most people to stand a little bit more to the left. That way, you increase the chances of getting a forehand return. But BA actually prefers to hit her backhand, so I think that's why she's standing where she's standing. But I would say for most other people, if you're right-handed, stand a little bit closer to the center line and take as many returns as you can on your forehand. So Kathy serves a good serve, and BA does in fact take it on her backhand, but the serve is pretty deep. Look at where it lands. And BA is right at the baseline, so she's forced to try and return while the ball is rising, which is very difficult, and ends up hitting the ball into the net. So here, once she sees the ball is coming pretty deep, she should have backed off a couple steps, let the ball bounce, and then as the ball reaches its peak and starts to drop, that's when she makes her shot. But here she's trying to hit it while the ball is still rising, and it's really hard to time. So excellent serve by Kathy. Here we have Pat serving to Judy. Nice serve, lands fairly deep. Judy has a forehand. Now, notice Kathy started sliding towards the center, which almost interfered with Pat. So, really, if you're on the backhand side, let your partner take that forehand. Don't get in their way. So it would help if Pat yelled mine, so then Kathy would know. But you can see now both of them are right there in the center, and there's a huge gap on the left side because Kathy slid over. So Pat makes a play on the ball. Judy starts out with a two-handed backhand, but ends up hitting a one-handed forehand. She switched the paddle to her left hand. Made a great shot, keeping the ball in play. Now notice where Kathy's standing. While all this was going on, all right, Pat got back to the kitchen line, but Kathy is still back by the baseline. So this made a much tougher shot on her because she's in no man's land when Judy makes this play. So she volleys it up, and Judy, unfortunately, I think right here, She switched paddle hands again, but this time I think if she had let the ball go, it would have landed out, because you can see that her paddle was already outside the line when she made contact. So she kept the ball in play. That gave Kathy another opportunity to volley. Judy has a play on the ball. Kathy pops it up a little bit. Judy has a chance for a put away, but hits it a little too much downward and it went into the net. So actually, she would have won the point had she let this ball go. Right there. So be careful about hitting those out balls. Okay, on this last point here, Kathy's serving to BA. Kathy hits nice deep serve to BA's backhand. BA makes a nice return. Goes up a little bit high, but that's okay. They can't move forward until it bounces. So here was a good opportunity for BA to move forward after she hit her backhand, right? But instead, she's still hanging out by the baseline, waiting to see what happens. Pat returns the ball. Judy tries to make a put away. Goes to Kathy. Kathy hits the ball. But see, notice BA is still here back by the baseline. So Kathy hits a short ball. Now BA has to come up. But she manages to hit a good drop shot. So Pat has to let the ball bounce. She hits her own cross-court drop shot to Judy. Judy keeps the ball low, forcing Kathy to dig it up. She puts it up a little bit high, but it lands into the kitchen, so that was a good shot. And BA came forward to get it, but can't quite get it in time. So that was an excellent point. The video up to this point was of the practice games that we played before we actually had the clinic. From this point forward now, this is after the clinic. So let's see if we can see some improvement in the way the points are being played. So now we have Kathy and BA serving, and Pat and Judy receiving. Okay, so that was pretty good. We have BA forced to the side to get to the ball, pops it up. Judy has a chance to put it away. It's good. She hit the ball while it was still in front of her, gave her a little more power, and it ended up causing Kathy to hit the ball long. So now we have Judy serving the ball to Kathy. Good serve. Kathy hits a forehand back to Pat. Pat should hit a drop shot here, which she actually gets a little bit high. So Kathy's coming in for a put away. But notice the height of the ball. By the time the ball comes down, Kathy actually has to bend over to try and take that overhead. Her paddle is straight up and down, and most of the time, this ball just goes right into the net. But she manages to clear the net. Now watch how Judy plays this ball. She keeps the paddle in front of her and then makes contact with the ball, but Kathy just hit it too well and got the point. But she actually got away with it because this overhead should never have been a good one. But what would have been better is for her to take a volley where the paddle is at an angle, like a 45-degree angle, rather than being straight up and down. And then the paddle head would have been a little bit farther to the side of her instead of almost right in front of her face. Then she would have had a shot with a higher percentage of success. In this case, it worked out, but most of the time it doesn't. Here we have Pat serving the ball to BA. A little bit short. BA hits a good return, forcing Judy to go to the side to get to it. Meanwhile, BA moved up to the kitchen line, which is good. And here comes the ball back. Now notice, Kathy's going to take this, but the ball is on her backhand side, but instead she kind of flips her paddle around and doesn't quite hit a solid shot as a result. So this really should have been a backhand, but she avoided the backhand and tried to hit a forehand instead. She did get the ball back. Pat got to it, made a good reset. The ball had to bounce. BA has the chance here now. She hits her own drop shot, but she got a little too high, but it was quick enough that Pat didn't have a chance to set up and end up the ball going out. So let's take a little look at this again. So Pat comes across, hits the ball. BA has a chance for the drop shot, but notice, where is Pat's paddle? It's still down by her knee. So when BA puts the ball up fairly quickly, now Pat has to bring the paddle up from her knee and then up into position to hit it. And by that time it was too late and it went off to the side. But one thing to note here is watch how Judy moves in unison with Pat. So when Pat starts moving to the left, Judy shadows her and also moves to the left. So that's good positioning. That was really well done. On this next one, I want you to take a look at the positioning between Pat and Judy. Judy's standing kind of close to the center line. Now, if Judy has a really good backhand volley put away, I think that's okay. This allows her to be aggressive. But if she doesn't have one, then I would prefer seeing her maybe a step or two to the right and give Pat more opportunity to hit balls on her forehand, and Judy just concentrates on covering the line. So let's see how this play develops. Pat returns the ball, moves up to the line, but now look where Judy is sliding. She's sliding towards the center. Pat's sliding to the center. Now, they're a little bit too close. And here, the ball goes in between the two of them. And instead of Pat taking it on her forehand, Judy's taking it with her backhand. BA happens to put the ball up high, though, and Pat puts the ball away. Let's take a look at something else here. So Judy blocks the ball back, and now both Pat and Judy should start bringing their paddles up, and don't keep them low. See, Pat's got her paddle by her thigh, so now she's got to get it up quickly in order to hit that overhead. She manages to do it, but she could save a few split second or two if she just got into a ready position and held the paddle up at the start. In this next sequence, we have BA serving the ball to Judy. And BA makes another excellent deep serve. Judy has to hit the ball from behind the baseline and then starts moving forward. Here, BA probably should have hit a drop shot because she ended up hitting the ball high, giving Pat a chance for a put away. So she slams it down, but BA's in position to get to the ball. She puts the ball up again. Now Judy's in position for a put away. But instead of hitting the ball downward, you can see, let's get a little closer look here. The ball goes up instead of down. But manages to fall into the court. BA makes a play on the ball and actually hits a good ball for a reset because it lands low. So this was her opportunity to move up to the kitchen line. Judy popped the ball up a little bit, but Kathy came over to hit a volley. Got it a little high, so Judy's going to try another put away. But again, the face of her paddle is facing up, so the ball goes up, which actually gives, okay, so BA comes across to get to the ball. It bounced in play. So Pat shifts over to the left because the ball's on the left. BA hits it back into play, but Judy's ready. This time she's got the paddle out in front of her and has an easier time hitting the gap and ending the point. Here we have Judy serving the ball. And notice the distance between Pat and Judy. And this is actually okay because Judy's on the backhand side. This gives Pat plenty of room to hit forehands. So she hits the serve, but notice that the ball's coming in between the two of them. And here, Pat probably should have called for it, but instead, Judy takes it on her backhand. BA volleys it back, and I don't know, that's pretty close. that call could have gone either way. I think Pat's saying, what is Pat saying? He's going over, he's pointing at the line. I guess it was out. Nice deep serve. Now they can both move up to the line. Okay, so this was a pretty well executed sequence. They both moved up together. They have good spacing between the two of them. Judy hits a drop shot that BA was unable to hit, but Kathy, who's standing a little bit further back, is able to get to the ball. She gets it back into play, but puts it up a little bit too high, and Judy's there to hit it, and BA hit it into the net. Okay, this next sequence shows a few interesting shots here. Judy hits a serve to BA. BA hits a really nice return back that goes deep to Pat, causing her to step back. Pat handles it, however, and manages to return the ball. Now, see, here, BA hit a really good return, and this was her opportunity to get up to the kitchen line, but she stopped, and she's still in no man's land. So now when Pat hit the ball back, she's still back in the back of the court in a defensive position. Pat moves up to the kitchen line. Now, BA hits a good shot that's low, and notice how Judy is keeping her paddle out in front of her. So when the ball lands, she can hit a half volley and gets the ball up and back. Now Kathy steps across to hits another ball right down at Judy's feet. But Judy's ready. She's got her paddle down. And again, lets the ball bounce, and then half volleys it back, keeps it low, so now BA has to play a low ball, and she pulls it a little bit, and it ends up going wide. Here we have Judy serving to Kathy, a lob serve. Lands deep, which is good. Kathy hits a forehand back. Actually, notice where Judy and Pat are. They're kind of half a step in front of the baseline. Probably would have been better to be behind the baseline, but it's not too bad. So they wait until the ball bounces. They see the ball. Now notice how Pat doesn't hesitate. She moves right up to the kitchen line because she knows the ball is going to her partner. Judy hits the ball, gets it over, it's actually a lob, over BA's head. Kathy goes across to try and get to it. But now notice that BA is still staying in position. What she should have done is, if a ball goes over her head, the only chance for them to get into the point is for Kathy to run behind her and try and get the ball back, in which case BA needs to move to the other side, preferably towards the back of the court, so they can cover everything. But because she stays where she is, even if Kathy had gotten to the ball, Kathy may have hit BA with it because she was right in front of her. So, ball goes over your head, move across to the other side. Here we have Pat serving the BA. Good serve. Lands close, good deep serve. BA hits the forehand. Short. So Judy has to come up, play it off the bounce. She has to volley it up. Gives Kathy a chance for a put away, and she hits it right in the gap. Excellent. Okay, we have BA serving the Pat here. A little bit short. Pat has to come up to get to it. She hits the ball deep to Kathy, forcing her to move back. That's excellent. So notice now we have Judy and Pat both at the kitchen line, and Pat has to make a volley. So this is the time when a drop shot would be good because they're both at the line ready to put away anything that's high. But Kathy does put it up a little bit too high, giving Pat a chance to smash it right into the gap. So, what could we have done differently here? Well, a drop shot certainly would have helped, but I think once Pat and Judy have established themselves at the kitchen line and they hit a forcing shot on Kathy, this means BA and Kathy are on the defense. So they need to stay back. So even if they smash the ball, they have a chance to play it on a bounce. But instead, Kathy put the ball up a little too high while BA kept moving forward. So then when Pat had an overhead, BA was in no position to be able to return that ball back. So had she stayed back and maybe a little bit more over towards Kathy, she would have been able to get a paddle on the ball and maybe return it. But because she moved up, there was no chance for her. Here we have Kathy serving the ball to Judy. Judy makes an excellent return. Both BA and Kathy move forward. That's great. BA hits a little bit of a drop shot, just good. Judy hits the ball up a little bit. It's headed in between BA and Judy. So, sorry, between Kathy and BA. So this really should have been Kathy's ball being on the forehand side for her to put away. But instead, BA leans in, and now the ball drops in between both of them, and they lose the point. So when you're on the backhand side, you really need to yield to your partner. Let your partner take all those shots in between the two of you. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen. Plus, even if BA had hit the ball, look at how far over she is. She's right by the center, which leaves her entire side empty. Here we have Judy serving to Kathy. Judy hits a nice lob serve deep. Kathy hits her own lob return deep. Gives her time to move up to the kitchen. Pat hits the ball up in the air that's going between Kathy and BA. So once again here, Kathy should be the one taking the ball for a put away. She starts to move in, but BA also decides she wants to take the ball. So now we got two of them coming together. And they end up clashing paddles. The ball does go in though. Pat gets to the ball. And it jams Kathy, and they lose the point.